it's a very capital intensive industry, which means there's a lot of, well, it's capital intensive and the income amounts are very large too, which means there's a lot of tax consequences to the things that they do. Tax consequences in the tax code easily sort of translates into tax planning, and we've got whole areas of law geared at agricultural taxation. Basically, the idea is we want to be able to plan things out so that we have the lowest tax bill that we could possibly have under the circumstances. So that's one area where you can get into some trouble. With every tax code and tax claim and tax decision that has to be made, there's often a gray area of sorts. And folks can get into trouble pushing those gray areas. So you've got to be cognizant of all of that. And sometimes it becomes pretty complicated too, and you could run into a situation where you just didn't know, and you did something wrong. So there's that tax arena where it arises. There's also on the governmental sort of subsidy side of it, we're very highly regulated in the sense that you have to demonstrate you are actively engaged in farming in order to get government subsidies. You used to be able to establish multiple people as being actively engaged in farming simply by forming other entities that would cooperate, and that could increase the overall level of support you could get from the government. We've tried to do away with that, but there's still some of those mechanisms in play. And basically at the end of the day, the way in which I think farmers get into trouble is because their operations become very complex for a variety of different reasons. Whether it's FSA compliance, payment eligibility sorts of planning efforts that they're doing, or tax planning efforts that they're doing. At the end of the day, what farmers have to do is make sure that the accountants and the bank and the lawyers are all on the same page with regard to the overall goals that everyone's trying to achieve in these larger operations with lots of moving parts. It's in there that you can kind of get into trouble. If you're pushing capital around to different entities, if you're doing different loans between different entities, if you're selling grain for different entities and storing grain for different entities, you just have to make sure that everything is accounted for and that everything's verifiable at the end of the day.